Hi everyone, welcome back to the Football Tribe Gigi channel. Robert Kesakos is your usual suspect. Hope you guys are having a wonderful week. Yes, it's been quite a slow week for me personally due to some illness, but I hope we'll be better in a few days' time. I hope you all geared up, for, especially the Christians that do celebrate Christmas that does fall upon us next week. Anyways, midweek action was once again before us on Wednesday in the quarterfinals of the Carabao Cup, and we did witness 3 games there, with the other coming on Thursday night when Tottenham Hotspurs to entertain Manchester United in that last game, after which a draw for the semi-finals will be conducted. But in the wake of that, 3 teams have already advanced to the semi-finals. That's Arsenal, Newcastle, and Liverpool. I'm sure some of you are already thinking to yourselves which opponent you would prefer for the semi-finals. But anyways, here are the results from yesterday. Liverpool beat up against Southampton by 2 goals to 1. There, Cameroon Archer picking the only consolation for Southampton in a game that they tried to really contest for, especially in that second half. But Harvey Elliott and Darwin Núñez had already scored each to put Liverpool in that 2-0 lead. Then, of course, Newcastle did beat up against Brentford by 3 goals to 1. Lisandro Tonali scoring a brace in that one, as well as Fabian Schär on target for the Magpies, while Yohan Wissa with an assist from Brian Mbeumo picked the only consolation for Brentford there on the night. Elsewhere at the Emirates Stadium, Arsenal did just enough to beat up against Crystal Palace by 3 goals to 2 there. Of course, Crystal Palace going into an early lead there, I think after 3 minutes, Joan Felipe Matita getting the better of Jakub Kivio, who mistimed a header from that long ball from goalkeeper Anderson, and he was quite patient enough, calm enough to wait out for the ball to settle for him, really to slot it in the back of the net to give Crystal Palace the lead that they held on to until halftime. In the first half, Arsenal did struggle really to create enough chances. I think they had 2 chances that I can vividly recall. One did fall to Leandro Trossard. It was a cutback for him, and he placed that ball wide over the bar. And then the other was a free kick for which Raheem Sterling did step up. It was a decent free kick that he did take, but John Anderson was up to the challenge, so he served that one to keep Crystal Palace in the game and maintain their lead heading into halftime. Now, again, it was that kind of slow, sluggish, dull game as we had witnessed over the weekend in Arsenal's goalless draw against Everton. You could sense that Arsenal lacked pace, they lacked, creativity. They sort of played to Crystal Palace's strength, where Crystal Palace were sitting in deep, defended their lines really well, only went up front when the opportunity presented itself, and that kind of thing. So then Mikel Arteta was quick to make some changes at halftime, withdrawing Thomas Partey there and bringing on William Saliba. So that really reshaped his defense that had started with Jakub Kivio and Urian Timber as centre backs, while Thomas Partey was at right back, and Kieran Tierney, who later on went off with an injury scare, maybe a calf injury there before Lewis Skelly was brought on, was at left back. So he made changes, bringing on William Saliba, and then withdrew Ethan Nwaneri for Martin Odegaard. And once Martin Odegaard came onto that pitch, things really changed for the better for this Arsenal side, and he ended up providing 2 assists in that game as Gabriel Jesus. We did witness what could pass for a rebirth of Gabriel Jesus' Arsenal career, for me personally, which I think has come to a time or a point where it should be called to an end, as the Brazilian there picked up a hat-trick in that particular game. So Martin Odegaard breathed fresh air into that game. He was the difference for me, creating 2 assists for Gabriel Jesus, while the other was created by Bukayo Saka there. So in the second half, Arsenal were more fluid. They were quicker in their passing. They created more chances. I remember one that Leandro Trossard did try to create when he played that ball in between the legs of the defender to try and reach Gabriel Jesus. Gabriel Jesus was sharper, especially in the second half. In the second half, he wasn't dragging himself far deep into his own half to try and get engaged into play. Yes, we know he's not that typical nine that stays there in between the centre backs to give them a challenge every now and then. But for his first and I think third goal, he made quite very brilliant runs there to go on and score those goals. Because in the first goal, again, Martin Odegaard sees the space, plays the ball in between the lines, and gets to Gabriel Jesus, who gets the better of Trevor Chalobah and flips that ball over Dean Henderson in goal. Then for the second goal, which was then the difference at the time, Bukayo Saka, that was a quick play in the box there for him to score. But the third goal, again, he runs from his half of the pitch. That's Gabriel Jesus. Of course, Martin Odegaard sees him that he's ready to make the run and plays that ball into space. He runs for it and he scores a brilliant strike. Eddie Nketiah did score the second consolation for Crystal Palace there upon his return to the Emirates Stadium. Now, my feeling going into this fixture was that Arsenal could easily have faltered, and indeed they could have easily faltered because they were a goal down. I clearly did not understand the starting lineup, especially that Partey was at right back. Then for the first time you're pairing Timber and Jakub Kiwior as your centre backs. You had Kieran Tierney, who was starting his first Arsenal game in over a year, having been on loan at Real Sociedad last season and all that kind of season. Then I do not know when Mikel Arteta is going to realize that a midfield that consists of Jorginho and Mikel Merino is horribly slow. Those two, I do not know. Mikel Merino is not known for his pace. We know Jorginho is a sluggish one given his age and all that kind of thing. So I do not know when he's going to realize it. But he does say he constantly needs to rotate his team given the amount of games they are having to play because they are playing a game after 3 days. And one would understand that clearly, but sometimes, that setup is not the best setup that Arsenal can really, have to offer. And clearly you could see that when Martin Odegaard came on in the second half, in that midfield, he made things a bit much faster. And Mikel Merino went on to have 2 attempts on goal there from distance. So Odegaard really changed the game for the better. Now, I was watching some bit of debate over social media there, and Arsenal fans were debating whether Gabriel Jesus should start on the weekend when they do face the same opponents in the Premier League there at Selhurst Park. Personally, my feeling is that it would be unfortunate after that heroic performance that he did put on at the Emirates Stadium for him to be withdrawn from the starting lineup when they go to Selhurst Park over the weekend. But also, I would still understand why he may think he wants to do it, because Gabriel Jesus has not scored a goal in the Premier League, I think, in 21 games. So clearly, it gives Mikel Arteta a bit of a selection headache there. You'd think that he would give him the nod in that game to try and give him some momentum and see if he can make things happen, if he can score a goal or two again against Crystal Palace over the weekend. But let's acknowledge one thing, that Thomas Partey at right back doesn't often work out too well, especially when you have a midfield composition of Jorginho and Mikel Merino. I get the feeling that if it were Partey at the base of that midfield, Arsenal's intricacy would be a bit much faster to help them create chances. But anyway, we'll wait to see. Of course, they've struggled with their injuries. The absence of Tomiyasu doesn't help their situation, that they do not have a backup for right back. The absence of Ben White there through a knee injury, it really doesn't help them. And then, of course, you have Kieran Timber, whose overload you're trying to manage, because, he's also been in and out of the team ever since returning from that long-term injury. Although in recent times he's had a few consistent games where he's featured. All performances have not been top-notch, but you'd want to also rotate him a bit there. But sometimes you get the feeling that Arteta's hands are also a bit tied when it comes to the injury issues that they have to deal with. Now you have an injury scare for Kieran Tierney, who had literally just returned from injury. You do not want to over-risk Miles Lewis Kelly, who is your only available left back in the absence of Zinchenko, and that kind of thing. So do let me know what your thoughts are. Can Arsenal complete a double against Crystal Palace in a space of just 3 days? Because they do face them in the Premier League there over the weekend. But like I mentioned, Tottenham Hotspurs are up against Manchester United tonight. That's in the other fixture of the Carabao quarter-finals, after which we'll witness the draw for the semi-finals that will be played at Wembley Stadium. Yeah, so that game will be coming to you at 11 p.m. East African time at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Ange Postecoglou does say that he always wins the title in his second season or his second year. Is it the Carabao Cup that he will have his hands on before the end of this season? We'll wait to see. But do let me know what your predictions are for that one. I mean, for me, it's a bit of a difficult one to gauge. I understand that United will want to go all for it because this is a trophy that Eric Ten Hag did win for them in his first season. Ruben Amorim would want to prove a point, but then you have a Tottenham who you never know which kind of Tottenham side is going to show up on the day. So it's a bit of a tricky one. So I reserve myself out of that prediction. But if you do have one, do not hesitate to let me know down in the comment section. Otherwise, do not forget to comment, like, and share if you're new to the channel. Do not forget to subscribe so that we can continue to grow. Stay blessed, and I'll see you next time.